The latest round of mock drafts are out. He's Paul Dottino. I'm John Schmeelk. We're going to talk about some of the players that the media out there are mocking to the Giants in some of the most recent mock drafts. It's early, a lot can change, but there's always time to have a little bit of fun. So let's start. Pro Football Focus Mike Renner, he's their big NFL draft guy, and also Ryan Wilson of CBS Sports selecting Jedrick Wills Jr. to the Giants, an offensive tackle out of Alabama. The Giants, of course, Paul, picking 4th overall, and the Giants had 2 experienced tackles last year. Mike Remmers is a free agent. Can never hurt to get a stud cornerstone to groom at that position.
Did somebody say hog mollies? That's what Dave Gettleman loves to do, build along the trenches. Nothing wrong with that philosophy. And obviously, Wills is one of the top 3 offensive tackles in this draft. Many people believe that there could be as many as 3 offensive tackles going in the first 10 picks. So you could understand why he might be in the vicinity for the Giants on these mocks.
And one of those other offensive tackles considered in the top 3 is Andrew Thomas. To the folks from CBS Sports, Chris Trapasso and Josh Edwards mocking Andrew Thomas, an offensive lineman from Georgia, to the Giants.
In the SEC, I might add.
Also a tackle, by the way.
The Alabama tackle first we mentioned, and now the Georgia tackle coming up next. A lot of folks think that Thomas might be the best of the crop. Whether or not that turns out to be remains to be seen. It's always beauty in the eye of the beholder. But he is a guy I think most people probably have tracked longer as the lead tackle in this draft than the other 2 guys, one of which we have already mentioned.
There is some disagreement over which is the best tackle in the draft, so something to keep track of as you go through the combine, pro days, and all the other research that happens between now and the start of the NFL draft. Tyler Roman, NBC Sports, Isaiah Simmons, linebacker / other stuff on defense for the Clemson Tigers. A former safety converted to linebacker, still does some safety stuff for Clemson, does some slot corner stuff for Clemson, but he's also a linebacker. So this is your perfect modern day / do-it-all type of linebacker, Paul.
Big hitter, John. He wraps up, and he gets sideline to sideline, does it in pass coverage, stuffs the run, blitzes into the gaps, does an awful lot of things
Covers
really, really well. Yes.
Absolutely.
He again, another guy who I think by everybody's account is a top 10 player.
Another guy that most people consider a top 10 player, maybe even a top 5 talent, Jeff Okudah, cornerback out of what's becoming DBU, Ohio State. He's being mocked to the Giants by Joe Tanzi of Bleacher Report.
Well, you know what's interesting about it? We mentioned Simmons a second ago out of Clemson. Well, this is exactly the opposite because Okudah, he is just simply a lockdown corner in every sense of the word. By far graded out by most people to be the premier shadow corner in this draft. He will play man, he will play press, and he is an in-your-face guy.
Our guy Ben Solak from the Draft Network also sending Isaiah Simmons to the Giants, too, by the way. One other name, Paul, Vinny Iyer, who's been doing this a long time for the Sporting News, sending Iowa edge rusher EDGE Epenesa to the New York Football Giants. Now, he is an underclassman, as at the time of this recording, he is not yet declared for the NFL draft. But once you get past Chase Young, he's right in that next group of edge rushers that teams are going to consider.
That is true. Had a big game in the Holiday Bowl against USC. At least a couple of sacks, as I recall, making some big plays. And that's what people love about him. He does make the splash plays. Maybe not on an every down basis, but when you need something to happen, he's usually there.
Oh, I lied. I'm sorry. There's one more we got to get to. Christopher Knox from Bleacher Report, Jerry Jeudy, who I suppose I should consider the consensus number 1 wide receiver in this draft out of Alabama, but this is a really deep class at wide receiver, Paul.
Well, the one thing about Jeudy, everybody knows because he played in Alabama, he got a lot of attention, and maybe that's why people are saying he's the number 1 guy because they saw him the most, and certainly in big games. I tend to agree with them, though. I think that physical tool-wise, this guy's another one you would really put a lot of stock in as a top 10 overall pick.
You could see a handful of receivers go in the first round, and maybe double that in the top 2 or 3 rounds in this draft. It's a very, very deep class. That's your mock draft roundup. He's Paul Dottino. I'm John Schmeelk. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.
Hey, Giants fans. Saquon Barkley here. You want to see more videos? Subscribe below.